thought I was dead? Nah, man, I've been chilling with Big Sherry out in Undercliff.
No way.
Way. And now I'm off to try Shimla's. Heard that chicken Donna's serious.
That's wild,
Come roll if you want.
The weight dynamics between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn were a significant factor in their April 26, 2025 bout at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Eubank Jr., a natural middleweight and former super middleweight, typically competes at 160 to 168 pounds. In contrast, Benn, a career welterweight, usually fights at 147 pounds. For this match, Benn moved up 2 weight classes to face Eubank Jr. at the middleweight limit of 160 pounds. To make this unique bout possible, both fighters had to compromise. Eubank Jr. must cut down from his usual fighting weight, which could potentially drain his strength and endurance. Conversely, Benn has to bulk up while maintaining his speed and power, an equally challenging task. The catch weight of 156 pounds, just 1 pound below junior middleweight, is a carefully negotiated middle ground, but it comes with risks for both. But then something unusual starts to unfold right before the camera lens. A figure starts to make his way through the dense crowd, and as he moves, several people near him start reacting with straight shock and excitement. The cat in the footage appears to be trying to navigate through the sea of concert-goers without drawing too much attention to himself. But his distinctive appearance and whole demeanor already caught the eye of several fans in his immediate vicinity. What happens next is what's made this particular piece of footage so compelling to believers. Real talk. You can clearly hear multiple voices in the background shouting, the same individual at the concert, the genuine shock and surprise in the voices of those shouting Tupac's name, and the fact that the figure does seem to bear a remarkable resemblance to what an older Tupac might look like if he had indeed survived past 1996, made him one of the most influential cultural figures of his generation. The video itself is like many of the pieces of evidence we done examined of decidedly low quality. It shows a figure dressed in a dark hoodie, face partially obscured, performing what sounds like a diss track with aggressive lyrics aimed at unnamed rivals in the rap game. The setting appears to be somewhere in Stockholm's urban environment with the distinctive architecture and gray skies of Northern Europe visible in the background shots. The quality of the video is poor enough to make definitive identification nearly impossible, yet clear enough for those who want to believe to pick out familiar features. The shape of the jaw, the intensity of the delivery, the distinctive hand gestures that Tupac was. Long history of appreciating and embracing American rap culture, which could theoretically allow Tupac to remain connected to the music he loved while staying off the radar of American authorities and media. But if Sweden represented Pac returning to his artistic roots, the next sighting put him center stage at one of America's most popular sporting events, the Celtics game broadcast 2014. In 2014, during what should have been just another regular season NBA game between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors, something caught on the broadcast camera that would send conspiracy theorists into an absolute frenzy and generate thousands of social media posts, video analyses, and heated debates across internet forums worldwide. The footage comes not from some amateur recording or a grainy cell phone video, but from professional broadcast cameras operated by experienced camera operators. A fact that lends it a certain credibility that some of the other sightings straight up lack. During the game, the broadcast cameras were doing what they typically do during breaks in play, panning across the crowd to capture fan reactions, interesting characters in attendance, and celebrities who might be watching the game courtside. It's standard operating procedure for televised sporting events, and usually nothing particularly noteworthy comes from these crowd shots. But on this particular evening, when the camera operator zoomed in on a particular section of the stands, what appeared on screens across the nation caused an immediate and dramatic reaction both in the arena and among viewers watching at home. The camera focused on a cat sitting among the regular ticket holders. You can't tell me your favorite Tiffany Haddish joke. Why? Because she ain't done a tour yet. She ain't done a special. She has not proven the ability to tell jokes. Greater than Tiffany Haddish hasn't been on Cat Williams' good side for a long time. And it doesn't look like that is going to change anytime soon. Cat just dragged her for filth again, and this time he went in on her for being an industry plant. Cat accused Tiffany of selling her soul just to get to where she is in her career. Tiffany has allegedly been trying to escape most of the demonic deals she got herself involved in at the start of her career, but she's way too deep to turn back now. And it doesn't help that Tiffany has strong ties to Kevin Hart, someone who has also been accused of being a raging industry plant by Cat Williams. When Cat started coming for Tiffany, It was a shock to people because they had actually starred in the 2014 film School Dance, and they got along just fine. Because of this, people were taken aback when he appeared in an interview 4 years later and only had the nastiest things to say about her. He said Tiffany wasn't funny and that the reason why she's given more awards and accolades over other black female comedians like Monique is because she bows to white men. Kat said Tiffany has never done a stand-up comedy show a day in her life, but the industry wants to push the narrative that she's the funniest black woman to exist. Greater than you can't tell me your favorite Tiffany Haddish joke. Why? Because she ain't done a tour yet. She ain't done a special. She has not proven the ability to tell jokes back to back for an hour to nobody, and they already ready to down Monique greater than and up somebody who has showed them Girls Trip. Did you think she wrote Girls Trip goofball greater than right? Greater than, or do you think that was already a script and they handed it to her? It's up to you. Greater than Tiffany caught wind of the shade and she clapped back in this tweet saying, "It's official. I made it. Cat Williams talked about me and didn't have his facts right. I look forward to seeing you on Monday, Cat, when we pick up our Emmys. I just want to shower you with real love because you need it and love you." Cat and Tiffany did in fact meet at the Emmys right after this mess. And y'all will not believe what happened. According to reports, Cat apologized to Tiffany backstage by getting down on one knee. However, when TMZ later caught up with him that same night to ask him about the supposed apology, he had something else to say. He said he never had beef with Tiffany, so there was basically nothing to apologize for. He also said the only reason he spoke to Tiffany backstage is because he was sorry about bringing her name up, not because he actually regretted what he said. Greater than there were some pictures, up on the internet showed you and Tiffany kind of look like you squashed your beef backstage there at the end. Greater than, and I never had any beef. Greater than, was that just part of your bit? It's not a personal thing. You kind of tore into her. You tore into some other comedians during that radio show. Was that from the heart, or were you kind of just being funny, getting your expression out? I was really just sorry that I mentioned Londa Sykes or Tiffany's name. I was in a conversation with a non-female comedian about female comedians. That was a no-no. Greater than I don't know about y'all, but that doesn't sound like a man who is sorry to me. If anything, he sounded like he was still standing on business. But anyway, for a while after this, it looked like Kat and Tiffany were good. That was until Tiffany and Kevin Hart appeared in an interview with The Breakfast Club and pissed him off all over again. Kevin said, "Kat does all this talking about Tiffany not deserving her success, but not once has he used his platform to empower the women he claims deserves the accolades she gets." He also put Kat on blast for allegedly choosing substances over his career. Mind you, Kat has made it clear multiple times that he has never touched a hard substance a day in his life. Kevin deliberately brought this up to get a reaction out of him. While Kevin was making these wild allegations, Tiffany just sat there and nodded her head to everything he was saying. In fact, when she was finally asked what she thought about Kevin's comments, she said she didn't really care about the apology Kat gave because it still doesn't change what he said about her. Greater than my frustration with Cat Williams comes from you keep pointing at Hollywood. Hollywood this, the white man this, and this. When do you take responsibility for your actions? You had the shot. Greater than Cat was in that position at one point. Greater than you were the guy. You off promo shoots. You off your promo at trips that they had set up for you. You became a risk to the studios, which is why the studios stopped with you. Greater than why was he a risk? Greater than he chose. Greater than so when you say Tiffany Haddish doesn't deserve or isn't really a comedian and these other women have worked hard, which they have. Greater than apologize because we've seen a picture there. What's the first thing he said to you? Greater than he apologized. He said, listen. Let me explain what's going on. And he explained himself, and then I was just like, well, what did he explain? What kind of explanation can say I hate it? Greater than, huh? Greater than he just said I hate it. Greater than no, he didn't say that. Greater than did he say he was high? Greater than I want to step in because I'ma let my sister keep it classy. Greater than Cat Williams is an amazing, talented comedian, which is why I'm so frustrated. I sit from afar and I admire the man's talent. I don't like that you said anything negative about a woman of color that's getting her shot. Now, the reason why Kevin getting involved in this made Cat upset was because 1, he was now spreading false allegations about him being an addict, and 2nd, he and Kevin already had their own beef prior to this. So, her bringing him into this means she clearly wanted the beef to continue. This is exactly why Kat didn't hold back from dragging Kevin for filth during his Club Shay interview last year. Greater than one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is what? Greater than is to act like it didn't happen. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him, ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No. We've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast. Greater than, yeah, it was. Greater than so. How simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies. Greater than the first time Kat called Kevin out for being a plant was when Kevin appeared on SNL wearing a wig. Mind you, prior to this, Kevin said he would never wear a wig. This was a big deal at the time because in the early 2000s, there was an epidemic of black men being forced to wear dresses and wigs as a rite of passage to make it big in Hollywood. But certain dots like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting that like why all these brothers going to wear a dress. I'm doing a movie with Martin. Greater than, yeah, greater than the movie's going good. So I walk in a trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. You got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a pro. No, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hockey, right? You're right. So, why don't we just not do it? He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. Greater than Kevin was later asked in an interview what he thought about the things Dave said. And he made it clear that he would never put a wig or dress on because he has his own morals and beliefs. But guess what? Not long after this interview, Kevin shamelessly popped out in an SNL skit wearing a dress and a wig. Funny, I made that decision. Nobody made it for me. I am my own boss. When Kat was later asked his thoughts on Kevin wearing a dress, he said it wasn't Kevin's fault that he wore that dress because he was just part of an agenda to effeminate black men in Hollywood. Greater than I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's House 1, 2, and 3. Greater than I've never seen media in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking old poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next. Greater than right after this humiliation ritual, Kevin started getting even bigger roles in the industry. And Kat was black-balled. He was slowly being used to replace Kat, and Kat's name was getting dragged through the gutter by the media for apparently being an addict. Greater than a sucker. The reason I don't do Big Tiger is because I had a tumor in my upper jaw, and they had to take it out, and they had to block the whole right of my sinus with a piece of metal. So, ever since I got out the Marine Corps, I can only breathe out of one nostril. Boy, I get my blood tested every 3 months for the last 15 years. All narcotic tests have come up 0.00%. I'm 44 years old. Little Tigger. You look up my rap sheet. I have never had a DUI or a possession of anything. Not even the I do every day. Greater than now, going back to Tiffany, she still heard about the comments Kat made about her. In fact, after Kat's interview with Shannon Sharp, she sarcastically brought up Kat's apology again, seemingly calling out just how fake it was. I'm like, yeah, but you need to publicly apologize. At the Emmys, he got down on one knee and said, I apologize. As usual, people had their own thoughts about this, like this person who said, the apology must have been for her to just feel good. But Kat was giving facts. Another person said, okay, Tiffany Haddish is smart. She wins over white America. White America are the people that allow her to win these types of awards. Although you may think she doesn't deserve it, she sure as heck made sure those white people putting in those votes think she deserves it. But now I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about Kat exposing Tiffany Haddish? And do you think Tiffany is really a plant being held hostage? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And don't forget to click here to watch this other messy video.